Okay, yeah, I know it. I'm wearing the same shirt I have in the past couple videos. My wife worked late today. We didn't have time to go downstairs and get new wardrobe for the day, so it is what it is. I know you guys don't understand. Today on Roll with Kevin, we're going to talk about something that you guys seem to really have liked. Past couple videos I've talked about my disability and like experiences I've had over the years. And this is something I have mentioned before, but I didn't really delve really deep into it with my experience on going to the arcade as a kid and with the disability and all that stuff, and how I managed to still have fun even though I couldn't play arcades that well, which is fairly evident. I mean, I don't have to explain why I couldn't play arcades that well, but we'll get into that. So sit back, relax, roll with me here. Let's talk about my experiences with arcades in the 90s, and I guess even today. And I'll get into that towards the end of the video, because I still do go to one arcade on a pretty regular basis. So we'll get into that at the end of the video, though. So back in the 90s, when I was probably 5, 6, 7 years old, we would always go to an arcade near our house called Funky Dunks. And it would be mainly like kids games and stuff like that, but I think later on they would get like more mature games like Mortal Kombat 2, Primal Rage, and a couple other games, but Mortal Kombat 2 and Primal Rage are the ones I remember, and I think it was either UMK3 or MK3. I don't really remember. My brother will probably refresh my memory on which Mortal Kombat 3 it was. I'm pretty sure it was just standard MK3. I know for a fact we played MK2, but usually we would go to the arcade when my uncle came in town, or I would go with either my younger brother or my older brother. And there were a few times where it was just me and my uncle, and we would go. But one time in particular, I remember it was just me and him, and my uncle has since passed on. So if I start to kind of get emotional about it, that's why, because I was pretty close to my uncle. So he would come up anytime my aunt and uncle would come up. He would always take us up to Funky Dunks or whatever, and then we would play arcade games. Well, me being like smaller and basically in like a wheelchair type stroller thing. It wasn't like a baby stroller, but it was made for like handicapped kids, but it's hard to explain because it wasn't really a stroller, but it was, but it wasn't, but it definitely was, because that's what it looked like and that's what it reminded me of. I know I don't have it still, but in any case, that's what I used to have to go in. So, my uncle, I remember we were just walking around, looking at all the different arcades, playing a bunch of the ticket-based stuff, and then he stumbled across, or on the corner of my eye, I don't remember how this happened, but one of us spotted the arcade game Primal Rage. And he was like, "This game looks kind of violent. Are you sure you can play this game?" And I was like, "Yeah, I play Mortal Kombat. It's basically the same thing. Just it looked like it was Mortal Kombat with dinosaurs." So he's like, "Okay, I guess we'll play it. But if your parents get mad, just don't blame me. This one's on you." He was like, "What do you want to do? Do you want to press the buttons or do you want to control the joystick?" And I'm like, "I'll do the buttons." So he would move the character, and I would be in charge of the buttons. Because I couldn't actively like stand up and reach the arcade machine. So that was my first like experience with Primal Rage. And then when I found out it got ported to the Super Nintendo, I believe we were at one of our local toy stores, either a place called Johnny's Toys, or we might have been at like a Toys R Us. I don't remember. But I remember seeing it, and my parents were like, "How do you even know what this is?" And then I told them, I was like, "Oh, I played it with my uncle." They were like, "Okay, whatever." and they let me buy it. That's actually a really good port of Primal Rage, to be honest with you. Like, as a kid, that blew my mind that game was like that faithful to the arcade. I knew it wasn't gonna be like a direct like conversion of it, but even as a kid, I was still amazed by what the Super Nintendo could do. Even Killer Instinct was really cool, and I don't even think we ever played the original arcade Killer Instinct. I have since played that, but I don't think we did back in the day. I don't remember. My brother can probably fill in the gaps on some of these memories, but I don't think we ever played Killer Instinct. I know we never played Killer Instinct 2 for sure, but I'm almost positive we never played Killer Instinct. But we did play MK2. I do remember playing Mortal Kombat 2 with my older brother, and I could barely reach the joystick, and I could barely reach the buttons. So of course he won, even though he was blind. He could still easily like move the joystick with, because he was way taller than me. He could actually stand up and walk and stand there. So he was, I think he played as Melina, and I don't remember who I played as. But the thing I remember is that since we had MK2 on the Super Nintendo at the time, he knew how to do Melina's like eating fatality, the suck up one where she sucks them up and spits out their bones. So like he did that fatality, and like he was like really excited that he actually did it on the arcade. Like it was pretty cool that we actually got to play that, and like he actually did that fatality. That's really the only memories I have like locally of going to the arcade, because I did go when we would visit my aunt and uncle in New Jersey. We would go to the Boardwalk, and the Boardwalk had a pretty decent sized arcade. And I remember playing like games like House of the Dead 2. I think I played House of the Dead 2. I know I played 3 for sure. House of the Dead 3 I know I played. I played Marvel vs. Capcom for the first time. That's what made me want to get the PlayStation version when I got a PlayStation 2. That's why I wanted that. It's because I played it. I wasn't very good at it, of course. Because like I said, arcade games are very hard for me to play. But for those that don't really understand why, it's not just because I'm sitting and I can't really reach the controls. As I got older, I could more easily like scoot up closer to the control panel or whatever. But the problem is my left hand, as you guys can see, it's really kind of messed up. Like the motor functions of it, I can't really fully move completely with my wrist like I can with this hand. Like this hand, I can fully move my wrist. So I didn't have enough dexterity in my wrist to properly play arcade games that were like fighting games. If they were like beat 'em ups, I was okay with those. Like beat 'em ups, I was okay with. And I do remember playing a couple beat 'em ups back in the day. Like I'm trying to remember what one we played like years ago. I know the one I wanted a Dreamcast for. I'll get that one in a second, but I thought there was another one we played. Maybe I'm thinking of a more fairly recent memory when I played the Spider-Man beat 'em up for arcade. And I played a lot of other arcades since then. But yeah, that's why I never really gravitated towards like fighters on arcade, because I couldn't do them. So like light gun shooters, I could do those. I really enjoyed like House of the Dead 2, House of the Dead 3. Even though I had trouble cocking the shotgun, but it was still fun to play that. House of the Dead 4 is also fun. Horror Evil was also a good one. Ghost Squad, I played the arcade version of Ghost Squad. It's a little bit different than the Wii version, but it's basically the same thing. Area 51. Actually, I think I played the second one, Area 51 Site, or whatever the hell it was called. I think it was a sequel. It might have just been Area 51. I don't remember. I know I played a ton of light gun games because I actually liked those. One light gun game I always wanted to play but never really could is Time Crisis because of the foot pedal. I don't remember ever seeing one in the arcade, But there is one arcade game that I really wish I could have played, and I never got a chance to. And that's Star Trek Voyager, the arcade game. I know it's not the best arcade game, but I know it's a light gun shooter, and I loved Star Trek Voyager, so I would have loved to have played that. My younger brother actually played that at a movie theater once, and he said it was actually pretty decent. And I would always hope and pray that the Wii would have ported that game as part of like a light gun collection, like they did with House of Dead 2 and 3 Returns. But they never did, which, I mean, honestly, I get why, because it was probably not that good of a seller of an arcade machine. So that's probably why it never got ported. But I always kind of regret not playing that game, because I really wanted to, because it seemed kind of fun. Plus, the guns are kind of like phasers. But yeah, that's kind of it for my memories. Like as a kid, I don't really have, I don't want to say fond memories, but like memories that stick in my head because I was never really good at playing arcade games. So I never really had a really good time playing them. I always enjoyed playing them as much as I could, but I just don't have a lot of strong memories of going to the arcade. But I do have strong memories of just being around my uncle and playing Primal Rage. Every time I play Primal Rage today, I always think about my uncle. So that does hold some sentimental value to me. Is just Primal Rage in general. I know it's weird to think about my uncle that's passed on with a violent video game like Primal Rage, but every time I see the cabinet somewhere, it always takes me back to me being like 7 years old, whatever I was at the time. Just playing that game and freaking my uncle out, thinking he was gonna get yelled at by my parents or my aunt, because I was too young to play a violent game like that. But they didn't care because at that time I've already played Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, so it didn't really matter. But now recent memories of arcades. I'm actually fortunate enough to know someone personally that actually owns and operates an arcade slash a bar, and the place is called Arcade Legacy. They have since moved locations. They used to be at an old dead mall, but they've since moved locations to a way bigger and better place. I love the new place they're at. It's very open. It's more tailor suited towards my needs, being disabled and being in a wheelchair. I can easily get around and do stuff because it's also a game store. But the funny thing is, my wife and I literally go in there and we'll just usually have to pay like a certain amount of money. I think it's like, I forget what it is for like the day. I think it's like $20 for the day or something. Well, and like $10 or something like that for like an hour or something. I don't remember, but he never like cares if we just walk up and start playing a game because he knows that usually we buy stuff from him because he also sells video games and DVDs and mangas and stuff. So like he sells stuff too. So it's just funny that we just go up there and he doesn't care if we play the games because they're set to free to play. You normally would have to like pay to play, but like he doesn't give a crap because it's us. So, like he knows us by a first name basis. Hell, he lets my wife go behind the counter and get stuff that I want to look at if they're too busy. Now if they're not busy, we'll ask them to do it. But if they're busy doing other stuff, he doesn't care if we go back there and just get stuff. It's kind of weird though. A couple of times we've done that. And somebody actually thought my wife worked at Arcade Legacy. And we're like, no, we just know the owner. And he doesn't care if we go back there. So that's always kind of funny when people think we work there, but we don't. Would I like to work there? Yeah, but like, really, what could I do? Really? Um, But yeah, I played like Rampage World Tour there. I played Die Hard Arcade. I played Captain America. I played an arcade conversion of Dragon Ball Fighters. I wasn't very good at that, but I tried it. Um, what else have I played there? Oh, I just have another memory too. I didn't ever talk about it yet. But I'll get to that in a second. What else have I played there? House of the Dead 2, I know I played there. I think he had House of the Dead 4 at one point. Golden Axe, I played the original Golden Axe. I played Golden Axe Revenge of Death Adder at another location, at a mall, that another person ran a game store that actually had the arcade machine for that for some reason. I don't know why, but they did. But that brings me back to the story I want to talk about anyway. And that's why I wanted a Dreamcast. So, very rarely would my parents drive us out to the mall. And one of the very few times they did, because it was always kind of a hassle and they were always busy. And it was, honestly, it was a hassle to get me in the car and put the chair in the car and all that stuff. Plus I was like 20 minutes away. One time we went out there and they had this arcade called Tilts, I believe. I could be remembering the name wrong. But my brother and I were there and we saw this game called Zombie Revenge. And it looked like a beat 'em up. And I'm like, hey, I could probably play that decently. And my brother was like, yeah, let's try it. And we were really getting into it. We were like, holy crap, this game is awesome. Like, I still really enjoy Zombie Revenge. So after we played it, I remember going home and searching the game and finding out it was on the Sega Dreamcast. Luckily, and this was probably 2004, 2003. I think I was in like 8th grade, so might have been like, yeah, probably 2003 or 4. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when. I think it was in like 7th or 8th grade when I played it. But luckily, my dad also was still kind of into video games at that point. And he had been playing a lot of Crazy Taxi at the arcade. And I told him that that game was on the Sega Dreamcast. So that made him want to get the Dreamcast. So technically the Dreamcast I own was technically bought because my dad wanted to play Crazy Taxi. But why we bought it, my brother and I, was for House of the Dead 2. We had House of the Dead 2, Crazy Taxi, Sega Smash Back, and then eventually I got Zombie Revenge because I couldn't find EB games that we had around us. Eventually they got one in. It was just disc only. I think I had the back case art. I since do have a complete copy. I'm actually looking at it right now. I can actually see it from here. I actually own it twice. I own the US version and the Japanese version. Why? I don't know. I just thought it was cool to own both versions of the game. But yeah, I own the English and Japanese version. I don't know why. I think I just still had the disc only at that point, and the Japanese version was way cheaper. And then eventually I got the US version for a good price. So I just kept them both. Why not? But yeah, that's why we have a Dreamcast. Is because of my dad wanting to play Crazy Taxi. And then we got a light gun for the Dreamcast and played House of the Dead 2 and Virtual Cop 2 and all this other stuff. So yeah, like, that's my arcade experience with a disability. Like, this wasn't the most interesting video for a lot of people, but I think I'm going to give you guys an insight on what it was like for me as a kid going to the arcade and doing stuff like that, because it was, like I said, I don't want anybody to think that I never had fun doing that, or I always felt like excluded. No, I wasn't like that. I just knew I wasn't able to play them that well, but I still got some enjoyment out of them. And I still do enjoy arcades even today. Hell, I have the how do you call that? The Sega Astro City Mini arcade thing. I got that at Arcade Legacy when they got it in. So I do still like arcades. It just sucks. I don't have the dexterity to play them as well as able-bodied people do. But that's fine. I still get enjoyment out of the games I have played and the memories I've made because of them. And if it wasn't for certain games and playing those arcade versions, I would never played a game like Zombie Revenge or Primal Rage or whatever. I never would have played those games. So, yeah, that'll do it for me today. This is Rolling with Kevin, and I am rolling out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe, click the bell button for all notifications so you get notified when I upload new videos, go live, post on the community page, all that good stuff. Shout outs to all my Patreon supporters: Matt Y99, Reaper7734, Titled Cal, AJ Gadawa, Oliver Frederick, Zoal Atfee, It's Me, Charlize, Joe, William Swift, Jeff17, Charlie McKeon, Reverse Security, Zoo Hall, Preliab, Just Drew, Ari Munson, HHG Fan, George McConnell, Elliot Scott, Benjamin Tellen, Magdalene Massaro, Vic Gomez, Freddie Ladd, Lee Fernay, and TJ Johnson. And I almost forgot about my newest one, Simon Lim Rossman. If I pronounced it wrong, I apologize, but thank you all for supporting me. It really does help out the channel a lot. Thank you to everyone whose name was scrolling across the screen for this screen. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to also follow me on Facebook and X as well if you want updates on what I'm doing, what I'm working on. If you want updates on when I upload videos, X is the best place to go for that because I always tweet out when I do new videos. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I am rolling out.